Hello and welcome to Louise Singleton Creations. In one of my recent videos you may have seen me reviewing the Resiners Airless Bubble Removal Machine, this one. And it's really good. I loved it and I still love it. I use it all the time. As you can probably tell, it's a bit grubby, but yeah, it's brilliant. However, although many people bought it and loved it, there was a group of people who just found it beyond their budget, were living in very difficult times, and Resiners listened and they have produced a light version, which is a lot more affordable for many of us, and we're going to have a look at this today. So let's get it out of the box. As you will see, the Resiners Airless Lite came very well packaged. Resiners have put a lot of thought into making sure the box is as small as possible without compromising the protection of the contents. So yeah, they've thought carefully about that and everything was flawless, no damage. So yeah, good packaging. And once I got it out of the packaging, I was very surprised. I don't know why, but I had it in my head that it would be a lot smaller and maybe even feel like, you can feel when something's good quality, can't you? And I expected it to not feel as good in quality as the Resiners Airless, but it felt exactly the same. So when I put them side by side, you will see that the only main obvious difference is the height. The lid on the original Resiners Airless is a little bit taller, but yeah, other than that, they're very, very similar. And this came with a UK plug as well, which I was very happy about. So here they are side by side. And like I said, they're not obviously different sizes. But if you look closer, I suppose the original one on the right is a little bit wider as well. Yeah, wider and taller, but not much. So how have Resiners made it so much cheaper? Let's have a look at the specifications and see how they've managed to save on cost. Right, first we have the price, which shows just what I was saying earlier, that it's so much more affordable. The function is the same, obviously, they both remove bubbles. There's a slight difference in size, as I mentioned, but not much. The voltage is the same. The plug's the same. Suitable crowd, it says beginner for the new Airless Lite and intermediate for the original Airless, but I really don't think it matters. They're both very easy. I think a beginner could use both of them. Now the vacuum pressure, there's a very slight difference. The new Resiners Airless Lite is minus 93 kPa and the original Airless is minus 95 kPa. So there's a little bit more vacuum pressure on the original Airless, but not much. So now we get on to the obvious differences and the things that I think have made it more affordable for Resiners to produce. So on the new Airless, there's no pressure display, whereas there is with the original one. In fact, there's no display at all. It's just a button on the top. So that's one way they've kept the cost down. On the operation settings, with the original one, you could choose 5 or 9 minutes. But with this new one, the light version, you just press it on and off yourself and you can just, when you think it's got rid of as many bubbles as it can, you just turn it off. And so, yeah, it's just one button. And that's the same as on the shutdown method, what I just said. So that covers the 3 sections there. And yeah, that's how they've kept the cost down, I believe. Oh, the only other thing I can think of is on the accessories there. The original Airless comes with 10 plastic cups and this one doesn't come with plastic cups. So those are the differences. Let's see how it performs. Right, I mixed up 3 ounces of regular epoxy resin. As you can see, it's very bubbly because the room was very cold. Normally, I would heat up both parts in a water bath first to warm it up and help those bubbles to escape. But I wanted it bubbly, so I didn't heat it up first. So let's see if this gets rid of the bubbles. All you have to do is pop it into the chamber, put the lid on, make sure the valve is sealed, that little bit that you see sticking out there, that needs pressing in, and then when you've finished you pull that out so that you can get the lid off again. But yeah, that needs to be pushed in. The lid needs to be firmly in place, and then you plug in the power, and then all you have to do is press the button on the top and wait until you're happy with it. Then press the button again to turn it off, and it's as simple as that. And it's not too loud either, is it? Not too bad at all. So I've sped it right up so that you're not waiting all that time. But I've put my stopwatch on there on my iPad so you can see how much time it's taking. And yeah, it took a little bit longer than I was expecting, but what I did really like was the fact that I could just leave it as long as I wanted and turn it off when I was ready, instead of having the set times that you have on the original machine. And there were a few surface bubbles, but they tend to mostly disappear when you release the pressure and take the lid off. Those surface bubbles do tend to go, so I wasn't too worried about that. And that's why I turned it off while there were still bubbles on the top. So let's have a look at it. As you can see, there are still a few little bubbles there. Maybe I could have given it a little bit longer. But yeah, it's pretty good, not bad at all. And I think once I'd left it to stand for a while, it was much better. So what I've done here is I've put my other 3 ounces that I'd mixed up in my original Resiners machine, the Resiners Airless it's called, and seeing how long it took with that one. Now, it's not really a fair comparison. I mixed all of my resin at the same time, and whilst I was degassing the first lot of resin, the other one was sitting at the side and it had already started to lose a lot of the bubbles by itself. So in that respect, it's not really a fair comparison, but we'll see how long it takes anyway. And whilst that second lot of resin was degassing in the chamber, I was just pouring in the resin I'd already degassed into my mould with a little bit of Gold Fusion glass glitter in the bottom. So that was ready for the next lot of resin once it was degassed. And the reason I've done my 6 ounces of resin in 2 separate lots, other than to show you both machines, is because you're not really supposed to use too much in the cup. The level in the cup will raise and you don't want it overflowing, so it's best to err on the side of caution. And of course, if it's not too deep, it will degas easier as well. So in this machine it took around 8 minutes, so it was a lot quicker. But remember what I said before, I did mix the resin for both of them at the same time, so it wasn't a fair comparison. It would have been better really if I'd put them both in the machines at the same time next to each other and set them off going that way. But this was never intended to be a comparison video. It was just a bit of an afterthought to do the rest of the resin in the original Airless. So once that was all done, I poured that into the mould as well, and we'll wait to demould it before I give you my final verdict. And you're probably thinking to yourself, well, hang on a minute, you've degassed the resin in 2 different machines. How is it going to help us by looking at the finished piece? Well, because if it's crystal clear and bubble free, it shows us, doesn't it, that both of the machines must have done a wonderful job. So yeah, that's my logic anyway. So the next day it was time to take the tea light holder out of the mould, and let's see if it is in fact crystal clear. It's looking good to me. What do you think? I can't see any bubbles at all. Yep, I'm happy with that. I think that just shows us perfectly that the new Resiners Airless Lite works very, very well at removing any micro bubbles from the resin, and I'm very happy with it. So what's my final conclusion? Well, the Resiners Airless Lite took 13 minutes to degas and there were still a few bubbles left. I think if I'd left it for 14 minutes it would have been much better, but I think I just got impatient. So yeah, it does take a little bit longer than the original Resiners Airless, but there are some other benefits that I think make it actually a little bit better. With the original Resiners Airless, which is obviously a lot more money, you have the options of 5 minutes or 9 minutes and it will turn off automatically. But sometimes, especially in very cold weather or if you're using a thicker resin, you need to use it for longer than its maximum time, and then you have to start it all over again to give it more time. But with this one, because it's just an on-off button and you can leave it for as long as you like, you don't have to do that. It's, in my opinion, that's better. So although it takes a little bit longer to degas, with the benefit I just spoke about and the fact that it's a lot cheaper, I give it a 10 out of 10 and I would highly recommend it. I hope you found this video useful. All links and discount codes will be in the video description, and I will see you again next time. Thank you for watching and bye for now.